Like Bernie mentioned, I'm Britt Polaronis. I am a director here at Merkle's Newsstream team. I oversee a couple retailers within our retail media network area, but then I also come from a big shopper media background. So I worked with the P&Gs, the Nestle's of the world to try to get them more and more shopper dollars. So I obviously took notice of where the money was going, and I decided it was time to join Retail Media Networks because that's where the magic is happening. So just to give you a little update, you've seen this slide a couple times, but I'm going to really dive into what's happening within the in-store area and how you can directly tie that into what you're doing from a retail media perspective. And really, I want to highlight here, everyone has looked at this a couple times, but in-store is the next big way for retail media networks. We see this obviously in our study as in-store digital media and out-of-home at 9% and 4% are starting to really take notice within what is being offered in the monetization solution. So these are important touch points to not just engage the consumer holistically, but also to add value for brands and revenue for retailers. So once you have exhausted with your brands what they're doing on off-site media, what they're doing on on-site, now they're looking at digital and out-of-home as an opportunity to continue down the path. So why is this so important? Well, eMarketer recently released a study that showed what is happening with your two audiences for each of these major retailers. So what we see here, what I think is super interesting with this slide is what Costco and Walgreens are seeing. So they have over 50%, so double the amount happening within their in-store audiences. So that means their digital media is only affecting less than 50% of their total audience size. So that's why this is important. Costco should be leaning into in-store in a meaningful way, and consumers just don't experience retailers in the same way. So you're going to see these numbers change based on the retail environment. We know this, you don't shop at the Home Depot the same way that you go into a Walgreens. It's just not the same experience. We're all shoppers here. We understand that. So what you need to dive into as a retailer is what makes you unique, what changes the game, what makes what you're offering a little bit different, and decide if digital in-store or digital out-of-home is something that you as a retailer is looking to continue to move down. But if we look at just this data alone, you can see the reachability is so much stronger for what's happening in store. And really that big opportunity is to take advantage of that post-pandemic behavior. So I think we're all scared 2 years ago that no one would ever walk foot back into a retail environment, but we are seeing that consumers want to come back. They want to be motivated and they want to have that experience again in store. And we didn't really anticipate that happening. So really be true to yourself and your retail environment. Like, what is your differentiation? And really, is this creating a risk of a new business unit? There are still opportunities to enhance what you're doing from a shopper marketing offering with digital media tactics. So you really have to think about how you're going to improve that experience for customers. And really, if brands aren't asking for it yet, monetizing those critical touch points like in-store digital media. So what are consumers saying about being advertised in store? Well, from this chart that was released by the Path to Purchase, they love it. 84% of respondents say that enjoying seeing or hearing about available products while shoppers are in store, and 59% not only said that they enjoy it, but that they are open to purchasing the items that are advertised. So again, what we're seeing is that some things will remain true from a post-pandemic world. Consumers love buying online, picking up in store. You still are going to have Instacart and Shipt and DoorDash continue to be an option. But we're also seeing that consumers want to get back in store and they want to have a meaningful experience. So if you're a retailer that is trying to capitalize on the concept of shopper, not only being receptive to advertising, but more likely to convert, here's kind of a view of what we see for retail media offerings. So I want to just call your attention to digital screens, as I feel like this is the most sexy topic to talk about. We're getting close to happy hour, I can say that, right, Bernie? Okay, really looking at that in-store tactics. So 78% of the time, shoppers are going out into the store to find the product that they saw on that screen, and they are also seeing this as a high indicator of those individuals going to see that products either online and then being able to make that purchase. So this is kind of like how you can kind of see it all coming to life. And this, again, was something that the Path to Purchase recently released. So now, what are retailers looking for? They're looking for partnerships with brands. And in-store retail media can actually provide that opportunity for retailers that aren't able to spend, they've maxed out what they can spend. So this is a great avenue for those brands. The accessibility of the reach of the audience now that we've seen, and really that mindset. You're going into store, you're going to make a purchase, you're ready to make that move, and consumers love it. So what we're hearing from brands, like in talking to Chelsea earlier tonight or today, we actually heard that brands want to be beta partners. They want to be part of these solutions. They want to be part of the think tank and how you can bring that to life. So retailers, really don't be afraid to ask your brands what they're looking for in a partnership opportunities. What does their roadmap look like? From a marketing perspective, what are their objectives and their KPIs, like Bernie was mentioning? Really, what is the right indication of what you're trying to do from a retail media perspective to what the brands are doing? And how can you co-solution, get these beta opportunities to brands? And really, what does that relationship look like? Can you create a think tank? Can you create that opportunity and own that roadmap together? Which is why we're all here today, to see what kind of roadmaps we can build together. So let's talk about what's really hard about in-store. Technology and the tech, and having to put this in all your different stores. So it's exciting, but it's also a really hard investment. So you have to be realistic. Not two retailers are the same. Your floor prints are different. They're unique. Some are in urban, some are suburban. And so you really have to think about how you're going to install technology, how it's going to work for you, and really being pragmatic about how you are speaking to brands and how you're going to make it come to life and when it's going to come to life. So here are some key partners that we see in the marketplace. Vibnotix and Mood Media are really leading audio in-store, and they've recently launched the in-store marketplace. They are recognizing the importance overall of in-store ad formats, which bring together key players to provide a unity of buying across brands. Also, Google recently announced their digital out-of-home capabilities. So if you're already working with Google, it's a really great extension to continue to advertise in that digital out-of-home network. Recently, Yahoo announced with Lowe's that they are also looking at digital out-of-home. So we're going to continue to see that gain traction and be able to utilize what you already have to just extend that reach further. And then partners like Woven Media that you see here, they are an in-store screen opportunity. So again, that's as you're walking through the store, what you're able to see, and they have tech that can be provided within that store environment. So here comes the fun part. When your brands hit the max point of low-level conversion-based advertising with your retail media network, really open that opportunity. Start a conversation. See if you can bring digital in-store and out-of-home to really meet some of those awareness and brand consideration objectives back into some of those lower-level tactics to increase your sale. You now have the ability to take brand consideration and awareness budgets that you get from national agencies and make the RMN can activate and drive better performance because you own the data and you can closed-loop measure it, which is not something retailers right now are saying at scale. At least that's not what we're seeing. So this is where we see retail media networks and really retail media in general going. And it's perhaps that it's not that it's recession-proof, but it does bring up a point that you can take home and take back as budgets begin to get tighter. People are really thinking about what every media dollar matters. So it's really a win, and it's an opportunity to really negotiate with your brands to make sure that everybody is seeing the value that it can bring to the table. And we feel that this gives advertisers and retailers a leg to stand on in those kinds of negotiations. So really, in-store and digital out-of-home has the ability to create an omni-channel experience. For retailers, they have now an additional area of opportunity. You saw the size of that reach and that growth potential. Brands now can reach mass audience of shoppers when they're in those final moments of purchase. Everyone wants to get closer to that environment. And finally, consumers, they want to be reached in those moments and they want it to be a great experience.
I'm genuinely curious because for in-store, this is kind of cutting edge. There's been a lot of experimentation. Home Depot's experimenting. How do advertisers and brands look at the performance of this channel? Like what kind of metrics are they looking for? And how do they treat this when they look at the funnel? Where is it landing in
So
their
it's
eyes?
definitely a step. It should be presented as an awareness tactic because you're not able, at least at this moment in time, to do the attribution on the back end the way you can with traditional retail media networks. So that is the difference between, it's anyone that walks into that store environment. You're not able to get that close, but you are able to reach those consumers. So I think brands are looking at it, like from what Chelsea and some of our other brand counterparts, is more of that awareness funnel and consideration and trying to move them down closer to the path to purchase. So I would say it's generally those higher awareness KPIs.
We're getting a lot of feedback, though, that it's when they're looking at where to take their money, they're looking at things that have closed loop reporting.
Correct.
And saying, but I feel more comfortable putting money here than putting it in a place where maybe I'm only going to get reach metrics.
So I would say if you had between in-store and a sponsored product ad, like yes, your return on ad spend is going to be better on, a sponsored product. What you should look at more is what else are they doing from an awareness driver that you're able to now add more money into your retail media network. Because I would look at it as that next step after you've kind of maxed out what you're able to spend on O&O properties, app, and that. So looking at it from that point. We'll see. It's going to be everybody wants it, but it's like, what are we going to do here? Like, how are we going to measure it? How are we going to continue to drive forward? So